Hello, everyone. Can you hear me? Sorry, I cannot do anything about the cold. So if you have any jacket, just... Thank you for being with us today. I will talk about IRC and its journey adopting the Lakehouse architecture. Let me talk a little bit about myself. My name is Samir Sweety. I am a data architect at International Rescue Committee, mostly known as IRC. I'm leading the deployment of the data Lakehouse architecture. I have 20 years of IT experience, mostly in nonprofit sector. I'm specializing in the data-driven solutions, technology optimization, and digital transformation. I am a travel foodie. I like to travel and eat local food and interact with local cultures. Before I start my presentation, is anybody in the room from nonprofit sector? Can you raise your hand? Welcome. Are you in or planning to use Data Lakehouse in the future, or you are using it right now? Can you raise your hand, anybody? Oh, great. I hope this presentation for today will help share some lesson learned and what we have accomplished in our organization. I will talk a little bit about IRC and its mission and how we come up with the Lakehouse architecture for our work. And I will talk about the deployment challenges, and solutions that we faced, and also lesson learned for the implementation. Share with some operation efficiency that we saw after deploying the Lakehouse in our work, and the future scope and scalability that we see in the future while we are supporting our programs. So IRC is a nonprofit, global nonprofit organization, humanitarian aid relief, and resettlement refugee. We are helping people that are caught in or affected by crisis, either the war or climate crisis. We help them to survive, to rebuild, and to recover through that crisis. We offer basic humanitarian aid, including health, education, housing, counseling, including legal counseling as well. We operate in 57 countries at any given time, including US and Europe. And we operate in the service in a time of crisis in 72 hours. So in that 72 hours, we implement our services that in that government or that country to help people, we call them clients, to survive or go through that crisis. Also, we advocate on behalf of people that caught in crisis through a war or a conflict, through the government, either to work smarter to solve the problem or to advocate for their behalf or for better life. Some big numbers, some numbers I want to share with you with IRC, what we are able to achieve. This is some number from 2022. We reach out almost 32.9 million people through us or through our partners. We're providing all the services, including 1.4 million people that are reach out with cash assistance is one of our program at IRC. We believe that we'll give better to give cash to family to crisis that will help them to spend on their daily need for purchase for daily needs with dignity instead of giving them vouchers or items already pre-purchased. Also, we distributed $1.9 million in cash or vouchers, and another number, we reach out almost 8 million people provided with health consultations, and we enrolled almost 800,000 children and youth in a learning program. So it's a big operation, and our yearly operation for these services is around $1.4 billion. So it means that I think it's around 80% that go to services. You can notice from the size of the services, so the data became very important. So we need to track this program or this services that we're providing to client, and at the same time, tracking the expenses and the impact that we can report to our donors. So when I start with IRC, and I joined the IRC in 2021. When I came in as a data architect, I was lucky that the leadership team, the IRC, they already start with the data strategy, or actually a strategy that have a big impact on all IRC programs. And they already started, they call it IRC Strategy 100. So basically the strategy is based on to make our program as a model for humanitarian response. So we are working so hard to be like the pioneer of the services. So the aim of this strategy is to provide high quality and cost-effective programs. So from there, a lot of all the business functions are trying to develop their own objectives and goals to support the strategy. And one of including is our data team. So data team, they have data ambition that will support this strategy, and it was in 3 phases. Phase 1 is in 2021, phase 2, where we are right now, and phase 3, I think it will be late 25. So when I came in, I get into the phase 1 is mostly to get into 3 pillars. The first one is to strengthen and enable systematic use across IRC. The second pillar is more about data literacy and enhanced skills. And the third one is to try to be innovative and cost-effective on the tools for data collection, data transformation, and data visualization. So I was lucky to come in. It was ready for me as a data architect if I need to put any data solution that will attach to this objective. So lesson learned, if somebody, any of our colleague in a nonprofit trying to get to this domain, make sure you have your leadership go through that and have data, at least data strategy or your organization strategy, what is the long-term, short-term and the long-term. So that will help you a lot in the journey of adaptation of the Lakehouse. That's what's happened to us. So my first 6 months, I have to do some data inventory, so to see what data is available at the IRC, and I found it that did not match what was in the ambition, so have to be some changes. So basically, we have tons of, well, actually a couple dozens of silo systems that are not communicating to each other. Time consuming to get the data from one source to another source. The trust of the data is very questionable, especially when you move the data from function to function or business function to another business function. Mostly the data as shared as Excel file. So the trust, it was an issue there. So they don't know who updated it, what kind of logic behind this data in the Excel. So it created a lot of mistrust of the data. The data quality issues, especially when you're working with Excel. And also there was no kind of master data catalog or even a data warehouse at IRC. From the right side, actually this is a business case. As a program that we establish, each program has a start date and end date. And it's attached to either a $1 donor or a couple of donors. And it can be applied to many countries at the same time. So tracking this data and providing this data accurately to the donor and as well as to our staff in the field to track and monitor the program, it became very time-consuming and very difficult to get. From this diagram, you can see how data analysts, they will have many steps to collect this data and try to build some visualization or some reporting to help decision-making, what they can do with their program, especially when the close end to the project, if they want to be overspend or underspend. So after that, it became clear to us, especially our data team, that IRC was using data as a service. It means that you get a request, you build some models, you build some reporting, and that's it, it's done. So we have to change that thinking a little bit and our culture, and that's what we did in the first 6 months after I came in, after the second year, is to change that culture and make everybody behind that the data is an asset. So to do that, we structured to build our own data framework. In our data architecture team, we built a data framework and with the principle that help us to structure any data solution that we provide. I will not go all of them. I'll just click to 3 or 4 because I will have some slide related to them. It's mostly about simplicity, trust, standardization, and security and privacy. Simplicity, we want to make sure that the code that is written is simple, not for the data engineer, because we want it to be transparent. When that code moves from one data engineer to the data analyst, or data analyst to a leader or to a manager, they should be able to understand the logic behind it. And through our data literacy, we have to get that level, everybody can understand each one code. And we don't want to expect the data analyst to be a data manager or our leader to be an expert in SQL, for example. It's just we want them to be comfortable to read it and understand it. The trust, that was a big thing that we want to resolve. So we make sure that the data that moves to the production has to go through an automated pipeline. No more human manual update to an Excel file or any data that we work with. So that trust will help the decision makers or the next person that will work with the data with confidence that you get the latest data and correct data that we'll work with. Standardization is something that we look. So at IRC, we work as a business functions. Each business function, they have their own data scientists, they don't analysts, the data engineers. So we want to make sure that we are using the same language, the same standardization of the data conventions, how we are talking about the data so have to be standardized, and also our process to be standardized. And we'll talk about some slides how we enforce that. Security and privacy is very a big topic for us, so we have to make sure that the data privacy for our client and the donor are kept before we deliver to any data solution that we provide. So we come up with our own data mission. So basically, we will develop a data warehouse. In this case, it will be a Lakehouse. We went through a lot of steps how we defined between the Lakehouse and other type of data warehouses that exist right now in the current market. And we put a lot of effort to see what the benefit of the Lakehouse. That time, when I started late 21, the EI was not as we know it now. So imagine if I have to go to leadership, we want to use something for the future for the EI. They say we are not ready yet. But at least what convinced them to say, hey, we can be prepared now. The EI is coming, at least we'll have some data structure ready. If we are ready to move to the EI, we'll be able to get that data through one governance and be ready to be consumed for the EI users in this case. So this is what's happened now. I will talk about one slide of one project that we are using, relying on the Lakehouse for EI. So basically, this is our mission. This is my data team, that how they are attached to it to deliver any data solution. What I shared this slide, especially if you are in case like us, you have many data silos, and also you have data as a service, and you want to move that thinking from that to more data asset, you need to put some framework. And that framework can be different to you, to me, to others. But that framework will help to guide that journey that you're going. So this is what we keep in our data team. Whatever we provide any solution, we have to go to all these checks that will be able to be consistent in our work. So this is how it looks like our new structures. This is from high level. I'll just talk a little bit about it. So from the previous case, so this is more simplified. So we have all our business application that coming in into one centralized area. And at the Lakehouse, we're using Databricks. And if you notice the users now, we have users, analysts, and manager as well. So hopefully we'll be able to get, well, because of Databricks, it have this different persona, but at least the access for the manager to just understand their data and to understand the logic what's behind the data. So this help us to unify all access in one place. From the right side of the screen, I just displaying we're following the medallion architecture to our work. So basically that we're moving data from the bronze, silver, and the gold. To be honest with you, the Medallion didn't give any kind of technical advantage, none. But I saw that has a big business impact. So as I said, we have business functions, and each business function, they have their own data engineer. And everybody named their data differently. Some of them named them raw, core, data mart, staging, transformation, data, like data mart or something like that. So there is no consistency of the data. When we start learning about the Medallion architecture, where is the bronze, that's raw data you cannot trust. This is like just bringing the data as in, but the silver is more clean data, and it's trusted. You can use it for your work if you got the right permission. And the gold is where you got pristine data that move into your reporting. This resonates very well with the business side. So everybody at IRC knows about gold and silver and the bronze layer. So this have a big impact on our work for us. And we're using DBT. We're using DBT Core. This is how we provide that standardization and trust. So every pipeline that we're using through our data, move from one phase to another phase, is go through DBT Core. And also it allows us to have more efficient testing environment with actually a very cheap cost, because we are not working with any kind of external databases. It's just a catalog, just a storage. So we are able to have our team to, before deploying, before we have to create another instance, run everything before, like SQL. Now everything is run in one place and more efficient and cost effective. So if you want to see under the hood how it looks like, so this is how we come up. I just simplified from the, I will go from my right to the left. So we're using our business application. We have many kind of different formats. So we're using Dynamics 365 F&O for our finance and supply chain. We use ServiceNow for service ticketing and other asset management. We have some application for data collection in the field. And also we use Salesforce for our philanthropy and grants. And we use Box. So Box we use a lot of, is a storage for us for Excel. You know, Excel is still used for our environment and nonprofit because we work in area where there's no internet and power, and you want to set up some data collection or data monitoring. Excel is still like a very appealing solution. So it's still used for us to ingest this data. So data, all of them coming into our Azure instance. We're using Azure, and we go to our storage. And we use a variety of data ingestion tools, from Fivetran, Data Factory, and also we customize our own pipeline through Databricks. We have data in many formats. We have CSV file, JSON, XML, and we're using autoloader to take the data to our DLT pipelines. So data, let me talk a little bit about DBT, what it does for us, and how we found it very beneficial for us in certain cases. With DLT, before we used to have pipelines running differently. We use mostly Microsoft product. And it was very costly and is not flexible. You don't have full control what you can ingest and how often, and the cost as well. So they have one size fits all. What DLT we will allow is that we're able to do a very simple coding, we'll share a screen later on, to ingest the data to the Lakehouse with full control of the time, how much I want to ingest the data from streaming to batching, and also how much I want to spend on that data. Because each function, business function, they may use data differently, excuse me. They need their data different time and then different size. And then we have our workspaces. Workspaces are in different setup. We are using as business function. Each business function has its own workspace that allow us to have cost allocation and expense allocation. So some business side, they may have more users of the data than the others. So this allow us to be more kind of personalized setup. Let me take one step. So we worked a lot with Databricks team. They are here. So they helped us to set up many, in our journey, how to set up the best practices. And they worked with us to get this set up correctly. They provided the best engineers, the best solutions, and we use them for help us to structure and architect our actually a blueprint of our data stack and then data, the workspaces. And just want to thank you for your partnership and support. And then the data, it's moving through our DBT. So we have DBT core for each project. I think we have so far right now 5 projects that are running right now in DBT. Excuse me. And that's how we move in the data. So it's basically each workspace has its own DBT project that move in the data from the bronze, silver, and the gold. And also, in case they want to move some silver layer to another production, it does through DBT. If you notice, everything is go to Unity Catalog. This is a big winner for us. Data governance, it saves a lot of work for us, especially in data privacy and also the lineage. So everything is coming in, either our data that we fit in our pipeline, but also we have connectors to external data that we are still in use. We're just putting this metadata into our Unity Catalog. So let me share some example we did. This is for the finance, FNO, Dynamics 365. I don't know if you are using it. So we are bringing a lot of tables, almost, I think, 400 tables we are bringing to our lake. And the data is coming as CSV file increment CDC. We're using DLT, and then we're using DBT to run the transformation. So if you can read, I don't know if you can see it well on the screen. So the code here is very simple. It's actually 2 line of code. Actually, library that line code is just the schema. Actually, if you put in 1 line, actually it's 3 line of code that allow us to do this job. If I compare it to what we had before, we have to go to very complex pipeline to get this data. So simplicity is very important here. And that helps us for debugging and support. Before, when we had other pipeline, we have to train like at least 3 people to maintain that in case somebody is on leave or on call. So that means it helps us to reduce that time of support. And from this code, it's simple to know what is the problem, and you can debug it while you are running on the DLT workflow. Orchestration is already done through Databricks. We get the alerts on what time the execution and the failure as well. Another project, I really like this project. So this project, what we did, we came in and we settled in with the Lakehouse and what we need to do. My data team, they didn't have experience with Databricks. They never worked with Delta file. They never worked with Parquet. They are good SQL data engineers. They have a little bit Python experience. So I have to find something that they can hold on and work with the big data. So to build that confidence to start with. So I worked with trying to figure out what is the best project that can tie it up to our goals for our objective, but at the same time to allow my team to build that skills while they are learning Databricks. We noticed that something in our Azure, I don't know if you are in Azure, this analytic log. Analytic log that bring the data from all the log from all the system and to do that ingestion to structured tables. And we looked at it, was too expensive. We're moving a lot of data, so we have other team that already enabled that, which is the security team. For me, I'm not worried about the security side of it. What I'm learning about monitoring and auditing. So I need to find another way if I can get this data and that moved to cheaper storage, and then I can query it anytime and demand. And that's how it comes, this project. So it allows us to have my team to work with Databricks, use the latest technology to get familiar with DLT. And we brought all our log of all our storage, our SQL transaction script, whatever that's happening in the Databricks, the pipelines. Just to give you the size, is one of our log of storage is almost 6 billion records. So it's just big data. They never worked with that size of the data. And we're using the smallest cluster, by the way. So it's not like we're spending a lot of money. So actually, we reduced the cost. To run this, it costs us almost $40, comparing to a couple $1,000s that we have to run to ingest this data. And we don't need to run it every minute, so we run it our own demand. If you want to monitor the data quickly, we just spin up this trigger mod to be continuous, or we can be batch and execution. So if you want to have some training and hands-on for your team to move on to the data lake, or I'm sorry, Lakehouse and Databricks to get familiar with, use Azure Log. It's your own data. You don't need to spend money or configuration of data collection. The data is already there. You just need to do some tweaking in services to collect the data to move to the data lake, and then you can use pipelines, DLT to work with it. Another thing that we saw a big actually success is the Unity catalog. So as I said, this is like a big winner for us, especially for leadership and also for data governance. It allows us to have everything in one place that we never had before. So speed up the access of the data in case you need it. You just get a permission who the data owner is. You can monitor who accessed that data and who, if the data is sensitive, if it was moved to any model that you want to track. And at the same time, we use dbt as well. So as I said, we have a couple projects. We put them together, and we have one documentation. So what this allowed us to have two kind of master data, but it's the same source. It's everything coming from Unity catalog. So the right side is for people for business side who doesn't need to go to Databricks. So they can search in our internal web page to know about data point, if they know who's the owner, if they want to see some logic about the code behind the code that transformed that layer to get lineage as well. So this one is a big winner actually for the Lakehouse implementation to give us this kind of unified data catalog and a unified data master. So the summary of what I shared, the impact that we saw in this slide, and also the implementation of the Lakehouse. So the first thing, as soon as we implemented it, the first thing was noticed to everyone is the near-time data and how much you can access, how fast you can access your data. From data ingestion to data delivery to business users, and also the access to the data. So the fast data access, it was very noticeable. Sample process of data access. So you just know from the Unity catalog who's the owner of the data, and then you can send the request and you'll be able to access. With the data Unity catalog, that's instant. So as soon as you get a permission to a user, it instantly comes in. The cost, that was a big winner for as well. So we were able to do same process in a reduced time, more than 10%, 10 times cheaper than what we were spending. Decision maker, they were almost, especially in the program that are in the field or HQ, to get a better understanding and on the data that's happening behind this visualization. Mostly before it was just visualization that was given to them through Power BI. Now they have access to the data, and what's happened to that data behind the scene is transparent to them. Monitoring the project when the grant near close, so that means allow them to do overcost or if you overspend or underspend. If you are overspend, that means you are not you are delivering more and you are not getting the impact of the donor money. Or if you are underspend, that means we are not reaching enough our clients, and that helps us to get as close as possible to the near time of the grant is closed. So yes, data dictionary. This is very, by itself is very important. So what other future projects that we see? So when I started 21, 22, we built up our data lakehouse. Now the generative AI came in, everybody talking about AI. So So this is we are ready. So the data lakehouse is here. The data is, we can bring any kind of data, structured, unstructured data. And then we have a team that's called Signpost. Signpost is, their work is to provide, it's community driven, but it provides information to empower our client to get necessary information to access any services. And can be in any language and any country. So this, what you see in the map here are community website that deliver this information. The information like where I can get, what is the doctor that's closest to me, where I can find, where I can apply for housing, or where I can find what kind of vaccination I need for my child, what camp that I need to get for safety, for example. And this information is mostly through social media, either through WhatsApp or Facebook to getting this information. So the Signpost, we call them Signpost AI, they want to build an AI to allow to multilingual, real-time chatbot between the clients. So the client will ask a question in their own language, in their own community. It goes to one centralized place where we have all our knowledge databases, where we have all our services, or our contact, and our information that needed, like phone number or contact address, to allow them to get that response in their language. So this project is happening right now, and is already got granted by Google for $1 million. So it is beneficial. If we didn't have Lakehouse ready at that time, it will be, this is hard to implement, or at least you will be in kind of silos again. You have to bring the data from other places, but it will not scale. So in this case, so this project is going right now, and they are benefiting from the Lakehouse. I think this is the end of my slide. Thank you for being here, and I'm open for any questions. Thank you.